I bet if I ask you to mention a few evil people or countries and the things they did in history, names like Adolf Hitler and England will come to your mind. But let me tell you a story about a man from a small country called Belgium and how he caused the loss of over 10 million lives in Africa while using the country's wealth to play sugar daddy with a 16-year-old girl. The guy called Leopold II was born in 1835. From day one, people just didn't vibe with him. He had a long sad face, bulging eyes, and a prominent nose that made him very self-conscious. Even in school, kids described him as awkward, cold, calculating, and creepy. Basically, he was the guy in school nobody invited to birthday parties. But he had one obsession, which was power. So he hated the fact that Belgium was a small country with no global influence, and it fueled his ambition to claim a piece of the world. Then came the scramble for Africa. Europe was carving Africa up like a meat, and Leopold was like, I need a piece of that. But you see, Leopold had a problem. Belgium parliament didn't want a colony. The parliament rejected the idea of a colony, saying it was too expensive. So Leopold was like, fine, I'll buy one for myself. He did this by hiring the famous explorer Henry Morton Stanley to trick African chiefs into signing treaties they didn't read. He gave them gin and clothes in exchange for land the size of Western Europe. By 1885, at the Berlin Conference, while Britain, France, and Portugal were fighting over Congo because they did not trust each other, Leopold, seeing an opportunity, presented himself as a neutral party from a small nation and convinced them to grant him personal control of the Congo. He basically was like, guys, I am from a small country called Belgium, right? Give it to me. I promise to share the resources of the country fairly. And guess what? They agreed. They gave him Congo. Listen carefully. They gave him, not Belgium, him personally, Congo. He even named it the Congo Free State. But deep down, the only thing free about it was death. Leopold marketed himself as a humanitarian. He said he wanted to stop slavery and bring civilization to the people, ending local conflict. But in translation, I am here for rubber and ivory, and if you slack, I am chopping off your hand. Leopold built a colonial army of about 19,000 soldiers called the Force Publique. They were made up of European officers and African soldiers, often taken as slaves or hostages. Their job: enforce rubber quarter, punish villages, and terrorize people into obedience. His system was crazy. Soldiers had to prove they didn't waste bullets by bringing back severed hands. If they ran out of corpses, they had to cut off hands of the living. Soldiers took women and children hostage while men were forced to collect rubber. If quarters weren't met, hostages were killed or mutilated. This hostage system kept villages under constant fear even without Leopold being there. Entire villages burned, families held hostage, millions died. Historians say over 10 million Congolese people vanished under his watch. 10 million from one man's greed. Now, while all this was happening, did Leopold ever set foot in Congo? Nope. He ran it like a remote business, chilling in Brussels, sipping wine, counting money. The rubber profit made him one of the richest men in Europe. He built fancy monuments, gardens, and palaces, all to look like a national hero. Meanwhile, Congo money went straight into his pocket. And here's the nasty twist. He got obsessed with a teenager called Caroline Lacroix, 40 years younger than him. He spoiled her with blood money, jewels, even titles, while Congolese people were dying like flies. Leopold was a PR genius. He funded fake charities, paid journalists, and called anyone exposing him a liar. But the truth leaked. Missionaries, activists, and writers like Edmond Morel and Roger Casement blew the whistle. By 1908, the outrage was too much. Belgium parliament had to force him to give the Congo to the state. But by then, millions were already gone. Leopold II died in 1909, and how did his people honor him? They booed his coffin during the funeral. A king booed at his own funeral. That is karma clapping back. though this will never be enough or compared to the evil he did to the African people. Today, Africans still talk about Leopold. Some Belgians defend his statue, while others want them torn down. Because how do you honor a man who built palaces in Europe and grave in Africa? Leopold II wasn't a king, he was a butcher, and Congo paid the price in blood. Proof that greed, when mixed with power, can erase millions of lives from history. So when next they talk about evil people and things they did in history, remember Leopold II from Belgium.